All right, looks like we're live, and I'm here with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman.
The plot's there, but the characters are all over the place.
And oh man, so I had a fun couple of days. I broke my phone.
Oh
I,
no.
dude. So I still had a BlackBerry. I know, Boomer Bechtloff doesn't like tech, but I like having a keypad. So it did also have a touchscreen. So I'm stumbling to get into the house after work. It's dark. I'm using it as a flashlight. This was Wednesday night. Got my hands full, fumbling for my keys. Down it goes, face down, and cracks the screen. So the thing's worthless now. And, I had to lost all the contacts, lost all the photos because I didn't back them up. I'm going to try and get them out. I'm going to see if I can hook it up to the laptop, maybe get them out that way, maybe talk to some tech guys I know, see if they can get them out for me. But had to get a new phone, and I fucking hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I mean, I guess it's technically better, but I don't know what. Like, I had the other one for like 5 years. I knew what the fuck. I knew what I was doing with that phone. Oh. I
It
was
always
also.
hits you.
Oh, go ahead.
It also hits you at a time when you don't think about saving your phone.
Yeah. Well, I had pics on it. I had pics a little low key. My dearly departed dog on there. I want to try and get some of those pics off. But yeah, I miss it. That's basically what I had, man. I loved it. Low keypad. And have nothing like that. I hate, and it's like, oh well, the touchscreen has the little keypad come up. Yeah, but like I don't have dainty little petite fingers. Okay, I've grown ass man fingers, and I just don't feel like they work well on the touchscreen. Oh well, everybody wants a touchscreen. That's all there is now. So I guess that's what I'm stuck with. Yeah. So yeah, that was my fucking Wednesday night. That was great. Although now that I think about it, if I have a new phone, that's a different IP. I might be able to get around my Twitter ban.
Ooh.
Now, of course, I'm just going to leave the official show Twitter in the hands of Luke. But if I were so inclined to get around for perhaps the purposes of a troll Twitter, hmm, I don't know though. Can you really get away with doing any trolling on Twitter these days, or am I just going to get banned in like a day?
Well, it depends on how much you do.
Oh, if they were still around, I'd say I control the free folk, but they went off to Valhalla, so can't have no foreign fun with them. Fucking. And I was thinking maybe I should not swear so much in the show, and already I'm just dropping f bombs left and right. I'm so bad at that because I'm getting now like because the James McDonald video that I had where I had Undertale read the two blog posts on how the one church I was involved in, it got sucked into the Harvest Bible and went dark. Well, that has blown up in the aftermath of this James McDonald story. It went from less than 1,000 views to like 20,000 views. And so then I got some other evangelicals wandering into my channel, and they're just appalled at my filthy language. So I don't know. Maybe I need to be a good boy and watch what I say. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that, but we'll see. By the way, this story. This is it's not just McDonald. This is a real problem that's going on in evangelical culture. The entirety of evangelical culture is comprised of, I'm sorry, the leadership, I should say, not the entirety, the leadership of evangelical culture on the national stage is comprised of these types of authoritarian bullies. I just saw a story the other day, and I think it was from the Daily Beast, so take it with a grain of salt, but it seemed to ring true to me, on how Dave Ramsey, I think it is, the guy who does that big financial ministry in evangelical culture, about how he's a terrible shithead to work with, and he's abusive towards his employees. There were all sorts of rumors that plagued James Dobson back in the past. These guys are all like this. You know, they seem like the goody two-shoes sweetheart on stage, and they're complete ass wipes as soon as the camera or the mic's off. I don't know. I really feel like we got to. I want to try and gather a bunch of these stories and really talk about this, because there's something rotten here, and we need to shine some light on it.
I'm one tough gazookas, which hates all palookas, but...
Let's see. Somebody says, Bechtloff, what is your opinion on Episcopalians? Never hear anything about them, which in this day and age must be a good thing. Yeah, I don't really have any opinion of the Episcopalians one way or another. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have any opinion on them. I couldn't tell you. But I don't want to cover this. It's one of those things where it's just below the surface. You know, you get all these people coming out there like, oh, all these. Most of the people who have commented on the McDonald video have been supportive, or in some cases even telling their own horror story about Harvest. But you get these guys once in a while, and they're like, you're not being a charitable brother in Christ, or some gay shit like that. Or I had one person be all like, come to the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm like, buddy, you got to be kidding me. All right. As much as a demon as McDonald is, he seems like a saint compared to the people running your church. Although I don't know. I have to say, the whole let's put child porn on his computer, that was pretty shocking. Maybe he is more Catholic than I thought. Because, you know, implied in that statement, not only would framing someone for something horrible, but implied in that statement is that James McDonald either knows where he can easily find or is currently in possession of child pornography. You understand that's implied in the statement where James McDonald said, we should put child porn on this guy's computer to frame him? But yeah, it's so weird when you get these people want to defend it. Like, let me go through a couple of these comments. Because I had a back and forth with one guy, and I have no patience for the shit anymore. Let me see. Okay, so William Wallace comments on the James McDonald thing. I have attended the original Harvest for 17 years. James was a powerful and biblical teacher for much of that time. I have grown immensely in my knowledge over the years. But as the church grew and expanded, he wasn't kept under the authority of the elders. He assumed all control, and his bent towards certain sins was not checked. Unfortunately, we are all trying to pick up the pieces and keep our church alive and healthy. We have a long way to go, and it may get worse before it gets better. So I responded to him. I said, James McDonald was an authoritarian bully. Are you not aware he was caught on mic yelling about someone who criticized him, saying they wanted to put child porn on his computer to frame him? He always was an authoritarian bully. You simply lack the ability to see it, you sad fool. He says, of course I'm aware. I know more about what has happened and what is going on in Harvest than you. I realize what transpired, and I know quite a bit of information that may not yet be revealed. but that doesn't negate much of his teachings in the past. Sitting in a congregation allows you only to know so much. You can never really know what someone is like in private. There are scores of good, honest followers of Jesus in Harvest who have grown and been blessed by his teaching and the many wonderful ministries at Harvest. Your resorting to insults completely disqualifies you from further comments. He's commenting on my channel. He's telling me I'm disqualified. I said, McDonald was always a legalist. He admitted himself several times he prefers legalism over license. Well, this sort of authoritarianism is what you get from legalism. I would not call James a strict legalist. By the way, I'll get to this in a minute. James has actually said he's a legalist. I heard him preach specifically on the balance between legalism and license. Being G soul, it was a typo. I don't know what he's saying there. Being the way to the other extreme is not good. No one, including myself, is defending what has happened. And as of yet, we don't have all the information. I love when they come out with bullshit like that. We don't know. We don't have all the information out. You know, there's still some subatomic particles yet unaccounted for. But saying as many now do that he was a terrible preacher and so on is completely false. Only God knows his heart and will deal with blah, blah, blah. So I respond, I say, oh, you're in Harvest. That explains it. Harvest does not deserve to survive. The entire leadership structure is every bit as authoritarian and corrupt as Chains. It should simply be disassembled. At the very least, the entire leadership structure needs to be replaced. And frankly, I hope the government and the IRS steps in and forces the books to be opened, because I know you people are too weak-willed to force your leadership to do it. James McDonald was always a shitty preacher. And let me be clear what I mean by that. James McDonald was always preached legalism and authoritarianism. He was always a bully from the pulpits. He always very clearly got off on the amount of power he had. I saw it years ago. I saw it the moment I began to seriously pay attention to him. Everyone, the Harvest Bible as an institution should be dismantled, disassembled. Every single church that has allowed itself to be absorbed into this collective needs to regain its what's the word I'm looking for? Autonomy. Needs to regain that and take a good hard look in the mirror as to why they allowed themselves to fall in with that lot in the first place. And Harvest Bible needs to be dismantled, because all of the leadership, capital A, capital L, capital L, is just like McDonald. Or they were weak-willed little simps who bent over and or grabbed their ankles from McDonald. Metaphorically speaking, of course. You know, after all, they're not Catholics. They're not literally grabbing their ankles for them. Harvest Bible as an institution needs to be dismantled. And if you're still in Harvest Bible, you're wrong. And if you're still saying James was a great teacher and none of us could have ever seen this coming, you're a fool. You're a fool. William Wallace, you're a fool. You're a pitiful, likely weak-willed fool who was looking for a strong leader to lead him. You weren't looking for the gospel. You were looking for a Pharisee. And you found one. So yeah, Harvest Bible needs to be dismantled. Completely dismantled. Y'all think I'm kidding? Yeah, you know what? Haven't I gone off on the Catholics all this time about how their church, the entire leadership structure of their church is so unabashedly and irredeemably corrupt that they essentially need to wipe the slate clean? Because sometimes that happens. I don't believe you should cling to a dead branch on the vine. Dead branches need to be cut off and thrown in a fire. Harvest Bible is a dead branch. I'm not convinced it was ever on the vine in the first place, but it certainly isn't now.
Transference of fear and self-loathing to an authoritarian vessel. It's catharsis. He absorbs their dread with his narrative. Because of this, he's effective in proportion to the amount of certainty he can project.
Here's the other thing, and I've been watching several videos in this, and a lot of it more jogged to memory things than anything else. Now, James MacDonald has said before that he doesn't think legalism is that bad of a thing. In his mind, the two extremes of Christian thought are legalism and license, and he would rather err on the side of legalism. That's been long been his position. He started to turn that around just a bit, and just a bit. He started to recently, because, you know, it's funny, right around the end of 2017, I was working a job where the time I was driving home, walking to work, happened to be on the radio. And I started listening to it out of curiosity. I'm like, oh, what's MacDonald up to here recently? And I noticed that he was a bit mellowed out and a bit more focusing on grace. And I thought, rather naively, until I looked into it more, that, oh, maybe he's actually grown as a Christian. Well, no, the reason he was on a big kick about grace is because he had recently got caught gambling. Now, let me be clear. I've said this numerous times on this channel. I'll repeat it. Gambling is not inherently a sin. I have yet to have anyone who's told me otherwise find me so much as one verse in the Bible that points to gambling being inherently a sin. Now, certainly gambling too much, sure. But that's sort of like saying that, you know, that's like the idiots that say that all drinking is a sin because some people, you know, get drunk and are alcoholics. Yeah. What those people do with the fact that Christ himself drank, I couldn't tell you. But gambling's not inherently a sin. That said, though, for reasons, again, nobody's been able to point to for me, evangelicals, by and large, seem, and Christians generally, but especially evangelicals, seem completely convinced that gambling is inherently a sin. Completely convinced. So when MacDonald got caught gambling, he was suddenly a bit more about grace for a little while. And he never even admitted he was gambling. He said he supposedly had all these poker nights with his buddies, and he was arguing that they didn't actually bet any money, which I'm quite convinced is horseshit. And yes, James, lying is a sin. So James MacDonald would go on about how, you know, oh, we were always a church that preached grace. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You moved in that direction just a little bit when your ass was on the line, James. But no, you weren't. And all these people wanted to, oh, he was actually a great preacher. Again, I reiterate, this is the idiot that thought wolves were demons. If you ever listen to his, he had that, he liked to scream and he liked to like shout and stuff, like really weird times in the middle of sentences. And it had this real sort of Paper Alpha vibe to it. Like if you've ever watched, he's a bit more well-known, Mark Driscoll, I believe is his name. It was very similar to that. Somebody says Bechtloff is very much into disestablishmentarianism. I don't believe I've ever seen that word. I mean, I can infer what it means from the looks of it, but I don't believe I've ever seen that word. That's quite the $10 word. But yeah, I do believe that there comes a point when an institution is beyond repair, and it's just an institution. Knock it down and build up a new one. Yeah, I'd never seen that word. So how about that? Learn a new word today. That's great. Because we're all about being big brain nibbers here at the Bechtloff Show. Big brain nibbers. I really do got to do just a straight up McDonald's stream. Where I watch my language and all for the new folks coming in. Actually, there's some people from my former church I want to get in touch with and see if maybe they'll even sit down with me in front of the mic.
Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
But yeah, Harvest Bible needs to be audited. When I look at some of the numbers that were getting thrown around, this guy was raking in shocking quantities of cash from useful idiots who were donating to him. And you notice they all just fucked off. I mean, who can blame them? The gravy train's come to an end. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if James McDonald isn't sitting on a fucking tropical island somewhere. Fucked off with all the cash.
I found these two accounting books. This one says, show to the IRS.
And what's the other one say?
Never. Show to the IRS.
But the thing is, I joke about like, if he had any brains, McDonald would be, he'd already be on a little tropical island, just outside U.S. jurisdiction. But he wouldn't do that because it wasn't just the power he wanted. I'm sorry, it wasn't just the money he wanted, I should say. It was the power. It was the power. That's always what it is with these kind of guys. Because, how much money do you really need? If you're running a scam, run your scam and get the hell out of Dodge. No, that's not what it was with him. What is with the furry art here? We got furry Terminator stuff going on.
Terminator Wolf.
Let's see. Somebody says maybe James needed a nice little boat ride out on the lake. Well, it is Chicago. Little Revolution says, Bechtloff, I forgot to ask you, what do you think of the Catholic Church allowing the Communist Party of China to rewrite the Bible to suit communism and pick their priests and bishops based on party loyalty? Well, I hadn't heard anything about that, so you're the first I heard of that, to be honest. But I'm going to say I don't know for sure if this is true. I haven't looked into it. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, China Uncensored had this little video talking about how China is tolerating Christianity just as long as it fits within the purview of the state restrictions.
Yeah, well then let me put it this way. If that's what the Catholic Church is doing to gain foothold in China, then once again, the Catholic Church is proving that it is not only not the one true church, it isn't even a true church, period. The true church in China is those people that are meeting in each other's basements in secret. There's where the true church is in China. And it's actually booming. But no, that doesn't surprise me, okay? The Catholic Church didn't get to be the world's largest non-government landowner by not being shrewd. Stephen Williams says, which, by the way, before I read this, sponsor tonight is Steve's Jerky, folks. So get you some Steve's Jerky. Also, because Steve's Jerky is delightful. And you also see down below, we got the tip jar, the PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wish list. And hey, you know, I got a birthday coming up this in a little over a week. So, you know, if you guys want to get your favorite Bulbasaur or something, you can be hitting up that wish list. Anyways, Steve says, remember when you mentioned how converting old dilapidated downtown buildings into churches is something beautiful? Do it to harvest. Yes, I've said that before. You know, a lot of these, a lot of the, like a former associate of mine in particular, you like to say how tacky and ugly those like storefront churches are, where I actually find them quite beautiful. You know, you take an abandoned building and you repurpose it for God, you repurpose it for Christ. That's beautiful. That's a reflection of the gospel right there. So, you know, do it to harvest. Yes, yeah, don't get me wrong. When I say it has to be, you know, torn down, Harvest Bible has to be torn down. I mean, the building literally doesn't have to be torn down. We're not superstitious idiots here, okay? The building isn't cursed. All right, but I mean, you might as well change the name of it, because I'm suggesting that you need to get rid of all the leadership, okay? Basically, everyone who works for Harvest Bible in any official capacity has to no longer be working for that church. You need a completely different elder board. You need a completely different pastor, senior. You know, when these big mega churches, they got senior pastors, and then they got a dozen, you know, little pastors under it. Everyone who works for that church has to go bye-byes, okay? That church as an official institution has to be disassembled, dismantled, destroyed. Leader Revolution says, is it called Harvest Bible because they are harvesting the souls of their followers for their master, the devil? No, I think they're harvesting the wallets of their followers for their master, James McDonald's new fucking yacht. That guy had a private jet. You know, I never used to be one of these guys that like got on the preachers for making too much money or for being, you know, because like, look, if you're like, I don't begrudge a preacher. Like if you get like a radio deal and, you know, your sermons go out on the radio and that makes you extra money, and, or if you get a book deal, especially that, you know, and your books are in Christian bookstores and the regular bookstores and all, I don't begrudge you making money. Okay. But man, there's so many of them just get really, really shady about it. Part of the reason is because they refuse to admit that they're just making money. You know what I mean? You know, like no, this is God's money. I'm doing this for, no, it's your job. You know, I mean, you know, you get this weird thing, like if you listen to a Christian ministry on the radio or something, and you'll hear like a message at the end of it, like, if you enjoyed this message, you should check out the preacher's book on the subject, you know, and you could get that book for a one-time gift of $20. So what you're telling me is you're willing to sell me a book for $20? No. If you give our ministry a gift of $20, we will say thank you with a copy of this book. Motherfucker, you're selling a book. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? But the moment you start playing all these fucking word games about it, that's the moment you just you it's almost inevitable you end up like one of these guys at that point, because then it's not me making money, it's me doing the Lord's work, which just happens to result in me raking in a shitload of cash. You know, I get it. You're in the ministry. I get that. Okay. But I mean, technically, all of us Christians are in the ministry, regardless of our vocation. You know, there's nothing wrong with, oh, you wrote a book and you want to sell me a book. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that. The moment you act like you don't, the moment these guys start acting like they don't care about your money while they're raking in your money, that's when you need to be suspicious. Joel Osteen is the next one that needs to fall. See, the thing with Joel Osteen, though, is he's nothing but a punchline. Like, outside of a bunch of little old ladies that donate to him or something, like, you're hard-pressed to find people that are pro-Joel Osteen. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there obviously are some people because people are sending him money, but it's almost like, remember how when the Twilight movies were really, really big and they made tons of money? Did you ever know someone that liked it? You know what I mean? Like, there were the fans, but everyone outside of it despised it. Not were indifferent to it, despised it. Like, everybody hates Joel Osteen, okay? Joel Osteen is not a major force in Christendom, all right? Half the reason you know who Joel Osteen is probably because Catholics like to throw him in your face. Because it's the only Protestant, they've heard of. James McDonald was a major force and growing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd very much love to see Joel Osteen penniless and alone in the gutter. But he's not a particularly dangerous force out there that I'm all that concerned about.
So we're going to need an ionic tractor disruptor. Now, not a regular ionic tractor disruptor, but a negative ionic tractor disruptor.
I remember that episode of South Park.
I look like a idiot up here.
But yeah, there's too much of these, and so many of these guys are basically just bullies. You saw that with James Dobson back in the day. If you ever paid attention to him, I mean, he ended up getting forced out of Focus on the Family, the organization he founded, because everyone was sick of his shit. So yeah, with the whole Joel Osteen thing, with the whole James McDonald thing, the books on that church need to be completely open. There needs to be nothing but sunlight on every crevice of that church. Right. What the hell else did I want to talk about? I got to try and gather some guests for tomorrow because I haven't really paid any attention to the news. I don't even know what the fuck's going on in the world. I know Monday Matt was shilling for Rotten Tomatoes got rid of the, there was not the score because the movie isn't out yet, but there was like a what percentage of people want to see this movie score, and for Captain Marvel, it was at like 20%. So Rotten Tomatoes got rid of that, and Mundane Matt, being the pathetic shill that he is, was all talking about, oh, that's actually a good thing. Mundane Matt's such a fucking joke. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? I don't fucking know. I think that's probably all I wanted to cover tonight, to be honest. So I'm not going to drag this on any longer. It needs to go on. All right, folks. Like I said, if you enjoy the content I put out, do consider hitting up the tip jar. We got the PayPal, Patreon, and Amazon wish list. And remember, your favorite Bulbasaur has a birthday coming up. And also, if you want to support the show, you can check out Steve's Jerky, because you checking out Steve's Jerky is a win-win. A, you get Steve's Jerky, which is awesome. B, Steve's Jerky wants to keep being a sponsor, which is awesome for me. So check out Steve's Jerky. And yeah, that's about all we got for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bechtloff out.